Welcome to our easy Power Query tutorial for beginners and first-time users. Today, we're showcasing the simple power of Power Query in Excel, focusing on the proper way to remove blank rows from your data. Struggling with datasets cluttered with blank rows? It's a common issue that can disrupt your analysis. That's where Power Query shines. If it's your first time using Power Query to remove blank rows, you're in the right place. Let's dive into why Power Query is a game changer for newbies and seasoned Excel users alike. Why should you use Power Query to delete blank rows? Well, traditional methods are tedious and fraught with errors, such as accidentally deleting non-blank rows. It's so easy to highlight there and then press delete on the keyboard, and the data is gone. It can impact on our formulas and our references. It can disrupt the structure of your data. And with Excel, you've got a limit on the number of undos you can do. So sometimes you realize only when it's too late that your data is messed up. And of course, there are performance issues as well. Now, Power Query offers a quick and effective solution. Now, in this simple Power Query tutorial, we'll demonstrate the straightforward process to clean your data, ensuring it's ready for analysis. So you can see here that I have 4 spreadsheets that have been sent to me. There you go. 1, 2, 3, 4 from the north, south, east, west area. So let's have a look at, say, the east data by opening up Excel. And let's have a look at the data that we've got from the east area. Now, as you look down, everything looks okay, but you notice this area there, they've forgotten to type east in certain areas. They've got lots of blank rows. They've also forgotten to type some dates in. So, of course, we've lost that information with the date, but if we're going to filter this data out, then the problem is we might lose row 10 completely. And again, if we filter out all the blanks for the area, we would lose that one as well. So this is the proper way to do it. So I'm going to close down that spreadsheet and I'm going to start off a new Excel spreadsheet. And the plan is to bring all of those 4 spreadsheets into a new one. So here we have our Excel spreadsheet. Now, you're going to have to go into Power Query to unite the spreadsheets. And this is how you do it. So I'm using Office 365. And if you're using later versions, you'll find it this way, but it will be there. I've trained this from Microsoft Excel 2016 onwards up to 365, and Power Query is there. So we're going to click on Data here at the top, and then we're going to go down to and click on Data just here. And what I'll do is I'll put in the notes down below of where you can find that on other Excels and versions of Excel. We're going to go down to here, and we're going to choose Launch Power Query Editor. And we're going to go into the Power Query Editor that way, just to give a little bit of an understanding. That's opened on my other screen, so let me just drag that across to this screen here. Now, the first thing that we need to understand in Power Query is this, although it comes with Excel, it opens up as a separate window. So look here, if I drag down for the window here at the top, and if I resize the window like so, you can see there it is. It lives within Excel, but it is a separate window, and whatever you do in the Power Query editor here will automatically be saved with your Excel file. So what I need to do is to bring those 4 files into Power Query. Now, fortunately, those files have been emailed to me and I have saved them in the same folder. So what I can do now in Power Query is go up to New Source here at the top, go down to File and across and down to Folder and get Power Query to look at a particular folder. And here's the folder here. I've put it in a folder called Files Sent to Me. I'm going to click on Open, and you can see Power Query has picked up the files in that folder. So what I want to do here is I want to combine and transform the data. So I'm going to click on Combine and Transform Data at the bottom. Now what I need to do here is to decide what is the structure of my data. Now at the moment it's selecting the first file as the sample file. So if I click here on sheet 1, I can see how the data, or the first file it comes to in that folder, how that's structured. Now for this to work effectively, you will need to make sure that the data is structured in the same way, which is the same way for each file. That means you'll have the same headers. If you want to have a look here, if you feel that the first file, which it's selected, you can see here is East, is not relevant, maybe there's one that's much more relevant to choose, you can choose that one there. But I think East is fine. I can choose East here, and that's great. I've also got the option at the bottom to skip files with errors. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to click on OK and let Power Query draw in all of those files. Excellent. So now we can see Power Query has brought all those files together, and now we're in a position to remove the blank rows. First, I want to remove all of the columns or that I don't want, or I should rather say I want to keep the columns that I want. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select date, hold down the shift key on the keyboard and click to area. So you can see here, these are the columns I want: date, product name, quantity sold, all the way across to area. And then if I right click, I can go down to, and I want to remove the other columns. So I'm going to click on remove other columns, so it just keeps the columns that I need. Now notice very carefully on the right hand side, you will see a list of applied steps, and you can see the removed other columns is there as the last step. Now think of these steps as filters for your data, just like a water filter or a coffee filter. Filters all of the impurities out of it. That's what these steps are doing. And you're writing in these steps by clicking on the buttons in Power Query to filter out all of the things that you don't want in your data, all of the impurities in your data. So for instance, we've got removed other columns here. I can right click and go down to and choose rename. And I can say get rid of other columns. I can call this whatever name I want to help me understand what it's doing. Great. Now, the problem is most people try to filter out the data. So if I click on this drop-down menu just here at the top, as I said before, and think, you know what, I just want to get rid of the nulls, it's going to get rid of the nulls on all of them, basically, in product name. Now, it might be that the nulls, for instance, if I go back to and I bring the nulls in here, there we go. So let's have our full null. Let's bring that one back. See, this one here, we've got null, but it has a date and it has a quantity. It's just the person has forgot to put the product name in. Now, we can get back to them and ask, you know, what did you sell on the 22nd of November 2022? But we need to keep that data. And we're going to do this the proper way. And the way we do that is by going up to remove rows, and we're going to go to remove blank rows. And that will only get rid of the rows that are totally blank. So we're not removing data that we don't want to. Now, of course, we've got nulls here that I mentioned that we could get the information from the east area. That's where the east is. And of course, if I scroll down, you'll come across other areas, the north area and the south area and the west area at the bottom. Also, we need to put east in these here, and we'll deal with that in another tutorial. So now my data is looking pretty good. What I want to do is load that back into Excel. And I do that by clicking on Close and Load here at the top, and then Close and Load to. Now, depending on the version of Excel, you may get different options here, but I want to just load this data into a table so I can better be able to see the raw data and then decide what I want to do with it. Maybe I want to make a pivot table out of it or create a pivot chart. So I'm going to choose a table. I don't need to do a new worksheet. I'm going to put it into A1 in the existing worksheet just up here. I'm going to click on OK. And now the data has been brought into or inputted into the Excel workbook. You can see I've got these extra gaps here, which I'll need to find out that information or better still, get the people to resend the email and update that data. If you look on the right-hand side here, you can see my query here and how many rows are loaded. If I've made a mistake and I want to go back into Power Query to edit the data, what I can do is go over here to the right and just simply double click on that files sent to me link, and it takes me back into Power Query. I can also close Power Query down at any time by pressing the cross in the top right hand corner. So now all I need to do is save this file so it's ready for the next tutorial in the series. Let's do that. Here's one. Power Query Lesson 1. Removing blank rows. We're rolling out a series of 10 easy Power Query tutorials, each crafted to boost your Excel prowess and transform your data management workflow. Join us to become a Power Query Pro. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and follow us for more Power Query for Newbies content. Share your Power Query journey in the comments below. Your adventure with Power Query starts here.